right, we're recording.
My hair look okay?
Yeah, your hair looks great, Brad.
My name's Brad Cleveland, and
I'm Terry Buzzard Jr.
and we're here today to go over our Greenbuilt town project for you.
First off, we're going to go through the questions. Obviously, to answer the questions, we have a goal. Our town's going to be in West Texas. The first goal of our town is to be as energy independent as possible. The homes will produce enough of their own electricity, which we'll go over here in a little while. Goal number 2 is to sell excess energy back to the grid to eliminate property taxes. And the third goal is the town to produce enough produce to sustain grocery stores and restaurants within the town.
Okay, thanks, Terry. Mine is, and I apologize, it's getting a little dark, so we'll try to run through it here quickly as possible. Mine is, what are the homes, shops, buildings, and furniture made of? Homes, looking at mainly underground homes, zero energy homes, homes that are able to sustain themselves electrically through wind power, through energy efficiency, through solar power, and through just well-built homes. Homes will be built on 1 to 5 acre plots, and we encourage gardening on all the properties. Shops are made of steel and brick, anything recyclable, and must have flat or low-pitched south-facing roofs to support the solar panels. All buildings, brick or steel for recycling, flat-topped as well for supporting wind power and solar panels as well. Furniture, wood, glass, and metal, all recyclable products, and we plan to upcycle as much as possible.
Excellent.
I think there'll be an E there.
We are down to how will water be transported and cleaned. The water is basically come from natural sources, pumped into a lake where it'll run down, which will also create electricity. But that's going to be the main source of the water, just like in most other places. Sewage will be cleaned in a couple different ways. It's going to be one, cleaned in conventional ways that you'll see around towns currently. Then we're also going to have there's a new cleaner environment that you're using plants to actually filter the water through. The whole goal is to use the least amount, if any, chemicals at all. The sludge that we collect will also be used as fertilizer and sold as profit.
All right. Here, you want to make sure that thing's still going. So it is going okay. Energy source. How will it work? Our energy sources that we plan for the city are natural gas, electricity will also come from solar, wind, and water. The wind, all houses will be required to have wind turbines, as well as solar panels, and water as via the spillway. We plan to produce electricity via the lakes and the spillway. Okay, what are transportation?
Transportation options. Let's see here. What are the transportation options rules? Everything's going to be obviously natural gas, hydrogen, or electricity. Public transportation will all be electricity. Part of that, take to major working areas, there's going to be the least amount of roads as possible to get people to where they need to go. And they're also going to be very bike friendly. Bike paths will be everywhere. Energy will be derived from, obviously the solar and the houses and the buildings, but we're also going to have solar roadways. That way the public transportation can also use inductive charging, so the buses can drive around and charge while it's driving down the road.
Which, by the way, Terry found out some interesting information as he kind of was researching that. There are actually cities now that are building roadways with independent solar panels that save that energy and can be used for transportation. Pretty cool.
Pretty interesting stuff.
All right, second page. What type of food will we grow and eat? The town will have a farm, as you can see in our diagram here just a little bit. A good portion of the town is made up with farmland, and so our idea is there to produce local organic food that will be organized in a community co-op. Not only will it help with food for the city and the restaurants, can sell it to other cities as well, but also produce a number of horticulture jobs. Hemp will be grown in this farmland for clothing and fiber and oil, in addition to being sold to other towns as a source of income. I'm going to turn on the light here.
Absolutely. Sounds like a good idea there. What are we at here? How will we dispose of town's waste? The whole goal here is to keep the least amount of waste as possible. We're going to try to avoid things that are not recyclable. For example, plastics, water bottles and stuff. We're going to encourage good use. Methane gas from what trash that we do have will be removed and used to make more electricity. The sludge obviously will go to be made back into fertilizer for the farms and to be resold to other towns and other farms. The plant, the whole goal here is on the fertilizer to actually get everybody else's energy, everybody else's sludge and miscellaneous matter that they can't use that we can use as compost, so that we can sell it again to help keep the property taxes down in the states. We're on the rules, Brad.
All right, it's probably my favorite part. I think we enjoyed, I think, this part more than anything else.
Absolutely.
We wrote down 5 rules here. I think this is a pretty great start for our city. Rule number 1: all houses will be required to be energy independent. That means they will use no man-made energy. They will be required to have wind turbines and solar. They will be required by city code to have high efficiency. We did speak about putting a lot of the houses underground, which we think will create very high efficiency homes. The city will buy any of this energy that's produced on each home or on the land of each homeowner. We plan to have excess, and so we want that excess energy to be sold as income and to reduce property taxes. Houses will be required to have cisterns as well that are large enough to irrigate yards and gardens. So we don't plan on having sprinkler systems and things like that on these homes. So rule number 2: must qualify to live in the town. What that means is you've got to be you're going to be required to support the town and the community. You've got to volunteer, you've got to teach, you've got to help in some way make things better in the town, whether it's in the farm, whether it's helping in the city offices, or whether it's beautifying the city. So everybody has to contribute. If not, a citizen will pay a large fine. Transportation, we talked about that a little bit, but must be quiet and non-pollutant. Electric, natural gas, and hydrogen are the only taxis, city vehicles, public transportation, and school vehicles that will be allowed in the city. We will also, as something I found doing a little bit of research in some green cities, is we'll also have in our home section some no car zones, which I think sounded pretty cool. So there'll be a group of, or a neighborhood where several neighborhoods in the plan that'll have no cars allowed. Town will also be very bike friendly and have bike paths going throughout the city and in the parks. All waste must be recycled. They can still hear me though, right?
Yeah, you can still hear.
The remaining non-cycled waste will be incinerated via a very low pollutant incinerator. So we plan to have absolutely no waste in the city. So our one of the things we talked about is volunteering and teaching. We want to make sure that we're teaching kids sustainability, recycling, and we want to absolutely reduce the amount of products that go into the incinerator. So hopefully we can keep it to a very minimum. And composting is part of that too. We want to encourage composting and teach everyone how to do that properly. Last, rule number 5 is all municipal offenders, speeders, people get speeding tickets, people that get seatbelt tickets, people who are non-violent inmates or low-risk inmates. We plan to offer reduced sentences or fines for in exchange for work that they do, volunteering in the city, beautification of the city, and in the farms and stuff with the food. So looks like we're on H.
Excellent.
Schooling.
Now we've got schooling. I'm going to do schooling and then the jobs. For schooling, it's going to be traditional schooling, maybe a little bit higher requirements than what most would do, but there's going to be definite emphasis on recycling, sustainability training, training on the jobs to help support the town, be it in the obviously some of the ones we went over earlier. As far as what kind of jobs are going to be available and how the town will get money, we're going to be out West Texas is the overall goal. So we've got a lot of natural gas production and sales. That's obviously going to keep people busy for quite a while. Raw sewage recycling for resale. That's going to be another way that we're going to get more money to the town because we're going to sell that stuff out. Plus, looking at the plans, we're going to have the co-op farming for the village. Again, the whole goal there is to help keep food costs down to a minimum at all possible, with also growing non-GMO foods so town people are healthier. Maintaining solar electricity generation to supply the town. That's going to be a lot of upkeep, especially with the solar roadways. And then obviously sales and installation and things of that nature. We've also got public transportation, and then any other jobs to support the town, like waste collection, city jobs, police, teachers, etc., etc., etc. And then last but not least,
Alrighty. Are we on an island or
we're
a city on the mainland? Our idea for this town is to be on a mainland, and the goal is so that we can buy waste from other municipalities, all the things that we talked about, plus buying waste from other municipalities and towns to convert into fertilizer. We mentioned a few minutes ago that one of our goals was to overbuild the waste plant and recycle plant, and that was one of the reasons for that. Is we want to create a profit off of converting this waste and sludge into fertilizer.
we'll have to take that on the light because it's too dark to see.
Oh, is it? Okay. Also, we want to, our plan is once again for the whole city is to produce more electricity than each house needs through solar, wind, and to sell that back to the city so it can be sold to the grid. And overall goal was ultimately to reduce cost of living and possibly flip it to where actually maybe at some point in time you can actually make money from living in our town in your home instead of having to pay a mortgage and property taxes and all of those things. So I think that was it on there. I think the next thing is Terry's going to kind of do a close up on some of the pictures and things that we have, and that's our project.
Let's go. I'll take this to the light for you here. As you can see, this is a quick overview. Part of the thing that we tried to do here is keep all the industrial area over here. Then we have our farming zone with a lake that runs through, where we have the municipal buildings, the park, down into the businesses and restaurants to kind of help go along here. There'll probably be some housing as well. This is more housing and more parks. You can just see some of the basic pictures here very briefly, because we know this is getting a little long. And those are obviously all the different choices. And this is Terry Buzzard Jr.
Brad Cleveland,
wishing you a good green build.